All right, good morning, traders. Today is June 26, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you so much for finding the value in my content. Appreciate that greatly. I just want to big shout out to Bob Jordan. Thank you. It's been with me for over 2 or 3 years now. Just thank you for the kind comments. Thank you for following me. Thank you for subscribing. I try to provide profitable, actionable content every single day. All right, so my SPY pivot this morning, 606.85. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five still in daily uptrends. Love it. SPY, QQQ, FNGU made higher lows and higher highs, closing over their bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. Now, QQQ made a new all-time high yesterday. XLK, technology sector, made a new all-time high as well. Nice work on those. IWM made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. If I didn't say it, SPY, QQQ, FNGU made higher highs and higher lows, closing over their traps over their 17s. Diamond Dow made an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Okay, let me just say something. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that are inside of 2-hour uptrends, that are inside of daily uptrends, that are inside of weekly uptrends or weekly candles moving up, which is what we have, inside of a monthly uptrend all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. I love that setup. Just saying that, we may get some more of that today. All right, gold and silver both in daily uptrends. Gold made a higher high and a higher low, closing under a bearish trap and under the 7. Did it make a higher high? We'll have to take a look at that one more time. Okay, gold made closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Silver made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish cross over its 17 EMA. And USO, UNG, both in daily uptrends. UNG, I don't know how much longer. It's coming dangerously close to converting that to a downtrend. Both in daily uptrends. Excuse me. USO made a higher high and a higher low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. UNG made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We love that. Closed near the 97.71 area. Hey, as consumers, we hate a weak dollar because our dollar doesn't go as far. But as investors, that makes our just goods and services made here in the USA more competitive around the globe when we go to a global economy. So having a weak dollar, you can see how much it's benefited China. So you know that that's going to benefit the USA. When we have a weak dollar, it's going to make our goods and services more competitive against other foreign nations that are selling the same products when it comes time for revenue growth. All right, so it's nice to open up new markets because we've got a weak dollar. SPY Max Pain for today. That's the options that expire today. Same as yesterday, 605, with a put to call ratio of about 1.25 puts to each call that expires today at 4:15. Don't forget those those index options usually expire around 4:15, whereas the security options expire right around 4 p.m. Excuse me. All right, let's go take a look at some charts this morning. First, we'll look at game plan. All right, as we get started, you can see we're gapping up this morning. Nice gap up. I like 1 day till expiration Friday options on the strike price, a multiple of 5. So for instance, 605, 610, 615. I like Fridays because they got more open interest. I like the multiple of 5 because they have more open interest. I like them $5 to $15 out of the money. I don't get the performance that I would from an in the money 0 DTE option, but I do get a lot less risk. All right, if you want the best performing option, in other words, close to penny for penny matching when price increases, and you want penny for penny performance, it's usually and almost all the time going to be a 0 DTE in the money call or put, all right, option. That's usually what it's going to be. Okay, if you want that penny for penny performance. I don't quite want that penny for penny performance. I'd rather have a little less risk and have a little less performance. For me, I think that's much safer for me. It seems to work out fine for me so far. I'm going to continue with what I have. Now, I'm not against playing or trading 0 DTEs, and there's a time and a place for that. When I'm ahead, all right, I will take on a little bit more risk, but usually it will usually be a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that's breaking away from VWAP. Those tend to be the most some of the events that I need when I want to take some 0 DTEs. Okay, so I'm looking for a nice trend that's breaking away from VWAP. All right, so we went over the options again. I like one day till expiration Friday option, 8 days till expiration Friday options. Now I think we're closed July 4th, so those would be 7 days till expiration Thursday options. Okay, because I think Friday we're closed. All right, so that's not really 8, it's really like 7 days till expiration Thursday options because Friday we're closed. Again, $5 to $15 out of the money. Okay, we have a green erases red, which we're already gapping up over 608.30. All right, that is a green erases red entry right there. We're already up over it. Again, the pivot 606.85. And we have a red erases green underneath 605.55. That's a red erases green entry underneath that. So we get underneath that, probably looking at coming down here to check this area right here. That would be the low of day, not yesterday, but the day before. Okay, probably going to come down all the way down here and check the low of day. If we get below 605.55, that's what I would expect. All right, so we do have, this morning, we do have GDP coming out at 8:30, okay? So that's liable, that's the main event this week, GDP at 8:30. So we've had a weak dollar this last quarter, so I'm under the belief that there's a strong possibility that we get a decent GDP. Last GDP was not that impressive. I hope they don't disappoint me again, but I'm looking for, I'd like to see 3.0 or better. That's what I'd like to see. I don't know what we'll get. We'll see what the consensus is, but I'd really like to see 3.0 or better. That would be awesome. I'd like to see 3.5, even 4.0 would be awesome. This is the lowest the dollar's been, I think, in over a year. We'll take a look at that chart before we leave today. All right, so there's SPY game plan. All right, so let's look at this 10-minute chart. Close up here, you can see 3 EMA crossed over, big green candle at the end of the day. Crossed up over the 8 EMA, so 10-minute uptrend coming into the close right there. 2-hour chart, 2-hour uptrend. You see the 3 EMA is up over the 8 EMA, so we got a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. And on the quad lines, you can see for the daily candle, all right, we got yesterday was a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Okay, that's both of those are bullish environments. Bullish gap up. There's your clue right there. You got a bullish gap up that's not filled by the bears. All right, that's showing you right there. The bulls are in control. Okay, if the bears aren't filling these bullish gaps, all right, bulls are in control here. All right, you want to stay bullish. I want to stay bullish until it's not. All right, so we'll see what happens, but I want to stay bullish till it's not. And there's the clue: bullish gap up. All right, not filled by the bears. Huge clue right there. On top of holding up over the base breakout. So we've had, you can see right through here, this is consolidation right there, consolidation. Look at, now we're up over, gapped up over that base, breaking out right now. So there's SPY on the daily chart. All right, looking good. All right, higher low, higher high over the trap. All right, we love that. That's all bullish. Okay, up there in quadrant 4, all right, if we back out, we can see the quad lines. Okay, this is the pullback made in April. You can see we're up in quadrant 4. That's bullish. You can see we're consolidating over prior consolidation. Okay, that's bullish. Consolidation over prior consolidation. Quadrant 4 is bullish. We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Anytime price is moving up and you're over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Everything looking good for SPY. We're bullish, and I'm going to stay bullish till we're not. SPY daily chart. Nice work there. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ, new all-time high yesterday. Really, enough said. I don't think you can say anything else about it. I mean, if that doesn't say it all, new all-time high, I don't know what does, all right? So there's QQQ, new all-time high yesterday. It doesn't get any better than that, making a new all-time high. Okay, that's the whole life of the QQQ. It's never been up there this high, all right? So it just doesn't get any better than that. Let's take a look at FNGU. We're back to FNGU again. Take a look at it over here. Higher low, higher high over the trap, over the 17. That's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Breakout over the base. That's bullish. Over the uptrend. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Quadrant 4, bullish. Okay, SPY, QQQ, FNGU. Making higher lows and higher highs. Okay, that's bullish. That's an uptrend. That's bullish. Again, you got these gap ups that aren't getting filled by the bears. There's your clues right there. When these gaps don't get filled by the bears, it's telling you bulls are in charge. We may get pullbacks here and there. Bulls are in charge. As long as they're not filling these gaps, the bulls are in charge. As long as we continue to stay bullish, all right, then the bulls are in charge, are in control. Okay, so there's FNGU. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow got an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a trap over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP up here in the upper third. That's bullish. Okay, look at price structure. Moves up and holds the higher ground. Okay, that's what we like to see. It doesn't get any better than that when you can see price move up and hold that higher ground. Okay, goes up and then over to the right, as opposed to going up and giving it up. That's just neutral. We're up and we're holding that higher ground. That's bullish. All right, there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart. Again, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. In an uptrend as well, making higher lows. See, there's a low. Got a higher low. All right, and making higher highs. That's an uptrend. That's bullish. All right, Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM got a lower high and a lower low, but closed inside a bullish trap. That's bullish. Over the 17, that's bullish. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, also bullish. You can see consolidation over prior consolidation here. That's always bullish in my book. You got price structure holding that higher ground. There's the consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, and you can see price action moves up from this location and then over to the right. Okay, that's bullish. Okay, it's not doing this. Okay, that's moving up and giving it up. This is moving it up and holding the higher ground. Much different. Okay, that's bullish. Okay, not quite in the upper third, which would be up here. Not quite in the lower third, that would be down there. Okay, so we're still bullish in nature, but we're still stuck in neutral territory. All right, we just made it back to the midpoint. Okay, again, you move down and you give it up, that's neutral, and that's what happened. We move down and we give it up, so we're just neutral right through there. Now you move down and you give it up and more, that's bullish. All right, so if they could climb up here into the upper third, that would make them bullish. All right, right now things are still looking good. I like the idea that price is holding over that all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, that is a very bullish behavior right there. Okay, holding that higher ground, holding over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, let's take a look at the technicals real quick. All right, T2122. Day before, on the 24th, we spent the day in the overbought zone. Well, we got knocked out this morning, a little bit of profit taking, and yesterday, and we spent our day hanging out at the midpoint, waffling back and forth between the buyer's chop zone and the seller's chop zone. Hopefully that's a higher low, looking like it so far this morning with that gap up. Okay, so hopefully that's a higher low. We find ourselves back in the buy zone or even the overbought zone later today. We'll see what happens, all right? GDP coming out at 8:30, just a reminder. All right, T2123, look at price. Gap up, still not filled. Over the 200 SMA, that's bullish, okay? Move it up over prior consolidation, that's bullish, okay? Nothing but red, green, red, green, red, green. Holding that higher ground. Look at, they're not giving this up. That's bullish up there, okay? Again, you got the bullish gap up. Hold the higher ground. That's bullish. You're up over prior consolidation. You're up over the 200 SMA. Price action is looking good up here. And I really like that gap up that we had this morning, okay? So if we look at price structure, let's take some boxes out here. And let's look at structure going on. Okay, so you got consolidation, okay, over prior consolidation. Okay, so there's some consolidation over prior consolidation. You got price structure moving up and holding higher ground. Look how it comes up and holds the higher ground. And comes up and holds that higher ground. Now we're coming up again and we're holding the higher ground. That's bullish. That's bullish. It's bullish until it's not. All right? It's bullish until it's not. Okay? Stay with the trend. Okay? The trend will make your life a whole lot easier when you're trading with the trend. Fighting the trend will make for a very long and difficult day. All right? Try to stay with the trend. If you don't have that 10-minute uptrend, kind of think about standing down. All right, wait for those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Look for price structure to keep moving up. It'll make your trading life a whole lot easier. Sticking with the trend. The trend right now is up. All right, so there's T2123. You can see price structure moving up, holding the higher ground. Again, on price. All right, holding that higher ground. Love that. Making higher lows and higher highs. That's a new rally high made yesterday. Okay, see that new rally high up there. Okay, that's an uptrend. Okay, that's bullish. T2123 15-minute chart. All right, same product, but the 3-bar chart. Okay, we got a low. Look at this. See the red dots? Got a higher low. All right, got a high. All right, and we're making higher highs. Okay, so that's an uptrend. We're up over, that's bullish. Over the 200 SMA, always bullish. Over a prior all-time high, that's bullish. Okay, and price structure moving up, all right, and holding the higher ground. Okay, we like that. That's always bullish, moving up and over to the right. It's so much better than going up and giving it up. Okay? That's bullish. This is not. Okay? That's bullish. This is neutral. Moving up, giving it up. Giving it up and more, that would be bearish. Okay? So right now, this is bullish, moving up, holding the higher ground. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. I keep forgetting it was FNGB for about 3 weeks. All right, FNGU right here. Again, bullish gap up. All right, not filled by the bears. Bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Bulls are in control. Okay, we're looking for uptrends. 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. FNGU gapping up again in the pre-market. All right, look at it. Hold the higher ground up there. Bulls are in charge. Bulls are in control right now. Bulls have the ball. Buyers, all right? Over the 200 SMA, that's bullish, okay? Price structure breaking out of the consolidation. You can see the consolidation boxes right through here. Let me square them off for you. You got consolidation over prior consolidation. There's some. All right, and now we got consolidation over prior consolidation. Hey, maybe we get some more consolidation over prior consolidation. I don't know. And that's a good start, though, okay? That's looking good so far. Again, consolidation over prior consolidation is a bullish environment. All right? It's bullish until it's not, okay? That's showing you bulls are in control. Gap ups that aren't filled by the bears. Bullish environment. Look at the consolidation here. Over consolidation. It just keeps going. And they keep climbing higher and higher. FNGU looking good. That's bullish. Okay, you're up over this pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. You're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish on the 15-minute chart anyways. Okay, everything looking good. FNGU. All right, let's take a look at a few sectors. And take that off. Come back to a few sectors. Start off with XLE. All right, XLE, again, moving up, giving it up. So it's just neutral right through here, okay? See it go up, give it up. See how they couldn't maintain a hold over that all-time high anchored VWAP. The good news is they're making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend, okay? That's looking good. They're not in the lower third, okay? And they're not in the upper third, okay? So they're not under here. That would be bearish. And they're not up here, so that would be bullish. So they're just neutral through here. You can see price structure closing under downtrend line 1, but over downtrend line 2. All right, so kind of neutral right through there. Closing under the trap and under the 17 tends to be bearish in my book. All right, which is kind of what we had yesterday. So XLE moving up, giving it up, right back to neutral land right there on XLE. Okay, we had some excitement. We had some geopolitical battles going on, which kind of spiked the price of energy for a while. And I said, be careful because this may not last long because of what's going on. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO, again, you can see price moves up and gives it up. Okay, so it's just neutral. Again, you're not in the upper third, you're not in the lower third, just neutral. You are up over this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That tends to be bullish. You're on the bullish side of neutral. That's good. You're still in an uptrend, higher lows and higher highs. All right, but let's face it, you're not moving up right now. Okay, you're kind of moving in the opposite direction. So there's USO, still neutral right there, waffling around at the midpoint. Again, let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG, yesterday's candle, all right, is lower high, lower low. Again, you can see price structure closing. That's a downtrend right there. All right, closing under the trap and under the 17. All right, that's usually bearish in my book. Under the uptrend line, that's bearish. Making a lower high and a lower low, that's bearish. And making lower lows. See, here's a low. I gotta say, I think that looks like a lower low. I thought I measured it yesterday, and we didn't come in with a lower low. So this low is 1574. This low is 1570. Okay, take that back. All right, we're still in an uptrend by about 4 cents. Okay, so I take that back. We're not in a downtrend yet, but we're still in an uptrend by about 4 cents. Let me just say, if they get down to 1569, that will negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend. So there's UNG. Still hanging on by a thread to that uptrend. All right, and obviously you can see moving up and giving it up. That's bearish. That's neutral. But you can see we're down here in the lower third. That's bearish. Okay? Okay, anytime price structure goes up, gives it up, and more, okay, goes up, gives it up, and more, that's bearish. You can see we're down here in the lower third, so that makes us bearish on UNG. All right, and you're underneath that 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Not a very high bar set, okay? So there's UNG. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold, precious metals. All right, here's gold consolidating up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. You can see price structures moved up. All right, and then hold the higher ground. That's bullish, kind of a sloppy hold, but still over that all-time high anchored VWAP, quadrant 4. That's bullish. You're up over the uptrend line, consolidating quadrant 4. All that, all bullish. Still making higher lows and higher highs. All right, so that's still an uptrend. We haven't made any lower lows, so we're still in the uptrend right there on gold. Let's take a look at silver. Silver had a decent day yesterday. Start with SLV. Okay, you can see price structure moving up, holding the higher ground in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Nice candle yesterday. Higher low, higher high. Closing over the trap over the 17. That's always bullish. Quadrant 4, bullish. Higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend and moving up. That's bullish. And up over this 12-year high anchored VWAP, also bullish. So there's a new 12-year high put in about 5 days ago, 5 days ago. Silver, that's bullish and in an uptrend up there for silver. Let's take a look at a few sectors. SMH. Okay, you can see SMH, quadrant 4, holding the higher ground, breaking out again. That's bullish. Okay. Getting ready to attack the all-time highs here. Look at that. That's up over all of this right here. Took it a while to get past it. That's bullish up there. They are within striking distance of all-time highs, SMH. Let's take a look at XLK. New all-time high for XLK. Okay, it just doesn't get any better than that, all right? I don't know how to say it. It's making a new all-time high. XLK, definitely bullish, making a new all-time high. XLF. Yesterday's candle inside day over a trap over the 17. Look at price. Move up, hold the higher ground, quadrant 4. That's bullish. Up over all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish, okay? Uptrend, higher lows, higher highs. All right, still bullish. XLF up there. IYT, transports. Transports couldn't quite hold the higher ground up here on top of all-time high anchored VWAP. I have hope for them today with the gap up. We'll see what happens. All right. GDP is an important number. So we'll see what we print for GDP. That might lift the transports if GDP prints a good number. All right. So anyways, here's IYT. This is the transportation index. Okay. We were up in the upper third for a brief moment day before, and we lost it yesterday. You can see we're closing back underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, or over the trap over the 17. That's bullish. We're knocking on the door to the upper third. Let's just call it what it is. All right, so that's bullish. All right, just not there yet. All right, almost there. Notice they get up here on top of all-time high anchored VWAP and give it up. Again, gave it up, and again, gave it up. Maybe today they can J-hook off of it and find some new consolidation on some new a new home above all of this consolidation. Okay, moving up and holding this higher ground from this location here up to there. That is bullish in nature. Okay. But all in all, remember, they gave it down and gave it up. So it's just neutral at this time. So we're acting bullish. We're almost there. If we could just close candles up over that all-time high anchored VWAP and maybe do a little consolidation over prior consolidation. Thank you, Alan. So we got some numbers coming in now. And there's durable goods. We'll see where SPY runs off to. All right, let's go ahead and hit the economic package real quick. You can see the dollar in a downtrend, okay, right here. All right, this would be major support. And notice we broke major support. Now major support becomes minor resistance. And look at price come back to climb on top and recover that major support area and lose it. All right, so you can see price is being held down by minor resistance now. And we are bear flagging over to the right. You can see price moves down and over to the right. Okay, that just like this would be a bullish environment. Well, the exact opposite. This is a bearish environment. So we have a bear flag, and price is making a dollar's making a new low. Okay, it's been a long time since we've been this low. You can see this is June, all right, and there's no candles going back 12 months to June right here, okay? So this is bearish on the dollar. Again, it's great for investors, all right, but for the consumer, it really sucks, all right, because your dollar doesn't go as far, all right? But for investors, makes our goods and services more competitive. Okay, so dollar heading off lower, close near the 97.77 area, right about there. All right, so there's the dollar in a downtrend, bear flag, breaking off to new lows. I just want to see what GDP says here. Alan printed it up. What do we got? I got to move this. I don't know. That's not impressive. I don't know if that's GDP or not. Prior consensus was -2 to -1. We got -0.05. All right, so that was pretty good. No, that's not good. All right, because we went lower. So -0.2 to -0.1, and we did an actual -0.05. So is the SPY dropping? I'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, that was much less than expected. I expected something better. Yeah, SPY's pulling back now. All right. It is what it is. All right, so max pain for today, 605. All right, is max pain for the options, the SPY options that expire today, 605. Put the call ratio, 1 1/4 puts for each call that expires today. Economic calendar for this morning, you can see durable goods 8:30, GDP 8:30, international trading goods 8:30, jobless claims 8:30, Chicago Fed National Activity Index 8:30, corporate profits 8:30, retail inventories 8:30, wholesale inventories 8:30, pending home sales index 10 o'clock, natural gas report 10:30. All right, and then tomorrow we got personal income and outlays at 8:30 and consumer sentiment at 10 with a rig count at 1. That's it. A lot of data coming out this morning. We'll see how they interpret that. GDP, not what I was looking for. Not at all. Not at all. That's the main event. That could cause us, send us back down to the red line on SPY. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's the economic calendar. We did the dollar. We did the Max Payne earnings. Yesterday we had Accenture. I think it was Accenture. Micron Technology reported yesterday. 142 billion there. Again, not a big market mover. Today we got Nike. All right, only $90 billion right there. Again, not a big market mover. It's going to be some familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Tomorrow we just got one. We get Apogee. Again, you can see it's not even a billion. It's 833 million for Apogee Enterprises. Okay, that reports tomorrow on Friday. Everybody else looking like they're scheduled to report, but not quite got the P&L ready yet. You can see right there, only Apogee right there. All right, so that's it for today. Nothing really market moving for today or tomorrow when it comes to earnings. All right, that's going to be it for me this morning. I will render my video, get it out there for Digital Land Podcast Land. But one more thing, all right, what were we looking at? Let's look at the map. Okay, so here we are in the map. And you can see we went up here yesterday, all right, all the way up. We opened up at the top up here. We went all the way up to like almost, I think, 608. And then we pulled back to 605.50 area. And then we ripped up out of there. You can see as we opened up at 609 this morning. And now we're pulling back again. All right, so again, we're bullish until we're not. All right. So you see what GDP printed. Again, we're bullish till we're not. Market's on fire. They may just brush this off. I don't know. All right, for GDP. All right, but I'm just saying market's on fire. We broke out again, and here we are with the map. We can add a little bit to the map. You want to see where we are. Okay, we'll put the gold up there. Again, we're probably right about there right now. Okay, right about there. All right, so that's it for me this morning. All right, I'll see you guys at about 9:20, 9:15. We'll open up the markets. We're going to block off that first 15 minutes and look for a breakout. Again, we're looking for a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Hopefully that's what we find. We'll see what happens, all right? I'll see you guys in about 35, 40 minutes. Thank you.